Tool review. You know me, I am a fanatic when it comes to tools. Not a fanatic in that I have to have the best or the worst, but I really want a tool to work well. And I don't mind paying money for a tool. I just want it to work well. And that saw cat on the left hand side is a standard circular saw. It was made by Black & Decker, and that's when DeWalt owned Black & Decker back then in the 90s, late 80s. I don't know if they still do or not, I haven't even checked. But that was an industrial, heavy-duty saw in its time. I tried to look for some instructions yesterday online, and the date of 1991 came up, which seems about right. I think I bought it right at around 90, 91, somewhere right in there, give or take. Because before I moved to the States in 94. So that thing is 30 years old. It has not let me down. It's been a good saw. It's heavy as all heck, but it's been a very good saw. One problem. I was cutting, as I showed you guys all that cheating I do. I use my little square and the cheat. I follow the plate. Always have done it that way. Love doing it that way. Problem. It wasn't cutting straight anymore. It was starting to veer. All my cuts were veering off, and I couldn't figure out why. It started to think I was doing something wrong. I'm going, well, maybe I'm not holding the saw tight. Maybe I'm not pressing against the square tight. Maybe I'm letting my hand slide. Bam. After all the looking and playing and everything else, and I started adjusting this plate, unlike any other saw in the world. Now, I haven't found another one that does this. There might be, I'm not saying there isn't, but unlike any other saw in the world, most have a cheap little pivot point, stamped rivet in the back end, and it's fixed. You cannot move the plate from the saw. This one has an adjustable ball joint. This actually is adjustable in and out to adjust the plate and line up with the blade. Amazing feature. Every saw should have that. None do. This one does. But the ball joint was worn out. Hey, that's wonderful. After 30 years, the ball joint, I just didn't realize it. That's why the cuts were going off. The ball was so loose in there, I could just bounce it around there, literally. Alright, so I tried to find, nobody even has parts for it anymore or anything. I couldn't figure out. And it's actually worn into the base a bit, so even if you put a new clamp on, it's not going to go in. It's actually, I got a divot in the aluminum base now to make it loose. So I tried to find a new saw in a hurry. Looked around, read the reviews, everything else. Every saw on the market almost has the same problem. I mean, if you read the reviews, base does not line up, base does not line up. It's, for free cutting, who cares? But when you cheat like I do and use a square, you have to have it lined up. And even if it's that far off, and some of them were, even when you're trying to cut straight and follow the little notch mark that's in the front, if the saw is that far off the plate, it'll start to pull on you right or left. And everybody's got, even the most expensive saws, people were complaining about this. I couldn't believe it. I'm going to spend $150 on a saw and it's still got the same problem. So I actually ordered a Makita 5007 MGA. It's a magnesium, lightweight, $200. Most expensive saw I saw out there almost. But I grabbed that baby, came in, I looked at it. First thing I do is run it by the blade. There's a fence slot for your portable fence to go in. And it hits the blade, it hits my square. It's tapered at the top the way they formed it, and it actually ended up hitting and pushing the blade away from the cut. Unbelievable. I didn't even use it. And then they had cut the back plate at 45 away so it wouldn't follow the guide. You actually lost most of your guide by the time you got to the end of the cut. So I just got frustrated, gave up on it, sent that one back, didn't even plug it in. I took this one apart again. I made a special brass beveled washer on the bottom, a cup washer. Put it up underneath the ball, set it all up. It's fine. I got it back together. That little brass washer is acting like a bearing now, a bushing, and it's working again. So that saw at 30 years old now is working again fine. But it's 30 years old. I was still getting a little frustrated. It's still not, 100%, but working. So, like I said, I didn't want to get it. I went down to the local tool shop. We have one. They didn't have much in stock, and the one they had, I looked, checked again the review. They would have the same issue with everything. I liked how lightweight it was. I really liked the plate on it, but if it's got the same issues, why get another one with the same issues? So after all the reviews, Maria kept reading that. It kept coming up, and people kept suggesting, why don't you try worm drive skill? I have never tried a worm drive saw. A worm drive saw is a real strange animal. Most saws, as you can see here, the motor is the same direction as the blade, if you will. Well, 90 degrees to the blade. There's two types. Some are direct drive. They actually literally put a bolt on the motor and put the blade right onto the motor. This one, if I'm correct, yes, the blade is under the motor. So you get a little extra height out of it. What they did, they put a small gear on the motor, a little larger gear, and that what do you call it, just straight to spur gears. That's the way most saws in the world I've ever used are. Every saw I've ever personally used that way. That's the standard saw that everybody uses. One problem with it: when you use a saw like this, you're cutting. I'm looking down at the saw. I can't see the cut. You have no idea where that blade's going. I can look like this. You see the front of the blade, and I can look like this if I lean over and watch the blade. But I really can't see. Now you're supposed to be able to go by the little groove in the front. No, this one's off. All of them are off. I've never found one that's 100%. So I'm always kind of looking inside and watching. It works, but that's always been They make a left-handed version of this one too. I don't know if maybe there people talk about it. The reason I always, again, this is standard, if you will. Plus, I was always taught leave the plate, the larger plate, onto the part of wood you're saving, the salvage part. You let the waste part fall away, and you don't put any plate on it. That's what I was taught. That's just what I've done. Seems to work. It's not backwards. Skill invented that saw per se. They are the manufacturer of that saw. They formed the company in 1924, if I remember. I saw a day of 28 too, somewhere in there. That is a Model 77. Model 77 was introduced in 1934, if I remember. It was, yeah, 34. So that is now 84 years old, that design. And they basically not changed it. They've improved on it here and there, but it's still a Model 77. It's still the basic design. That's the newest version of it out. That is the magnesium version. It is lighter than all the rest. I think when the original model came out, the original version of it, somebody said it weighed 22 or 25 pounds, which I can't even imagine lifting that up. They got lighter and lighter material, more plastic, more aluminum. Eventually, that one there is now being magnesium, is just over 11 pounds. 11 pounds isn't bad. It's actually the same weight almost to that socket. Sockets actually, I think, may even be a bit heavier now. But it's a worm drive. It's 90 degrees. It makes it a little bit narrower. It does cut a little different because now, when I'm using it and cutting along, I can watch the blade. Now, unfortunately, that puts the waste side of the material on, what do you call it, the wrong side of the plate. You can cut backwards with it, if you will, on this side. That's no problem. But if you do this, what do you call it, somebody's got to hold the wood. It would be kind of hard to hold your wood across like this and go. If you have two people maybe, or the wood is clamped down, that's fine. But you can see, it's a narrower saw in line. It's a little heavier to hold, just not because the saw is heavier, but you're now extending your arm out. The weight, instead of being over here, is way out at the end. But that's the toy. It has a real gearbox. You actually have to check the oil in it. But that is the old standard. One nice feature, it's got a hook on the side that's retractable. And you hang it. Rafter hook, they call them. Couldn't figure out why people like rafter hooks so much. Let me tell you, you're up there on top of anything, working on anything, rafter hook. It is nice. So, that is a new toy. $200 for this version of it. They have an aluminum version, which is 3 extra pounds just for the aluminum, not the magnesium. And it weighs, I think 14 pounds. For $30, I wouldn't even play around. If I keep a saw 30 years, give me a break. That's about all the excitement. But I had to tell you guys, I've only had it for a couple days now, but I absolutely love it. I think it's the greatest toy on earth. It is so nice to be able to see your blade when you cut a line. I can't tell you how much that makes a difference. It turns slower because of the worm gear. They're actually only turning, I think, 1,500 pair of RPMs because 800 RPMs versus 6,000, 6,500, 6,800 on a lot of the saws. But it's got so much torque because of the gearing, it doesn't stall down. When you hit the saw with the wood with the other saws, you can actually hear them slowing down a bit when they hit a tough piece of wood. This doesn't slow down. It just keeps going at the same RPM. that's about it. That's the excitement. The company, like I said, was formed way back in 1924. They've been bought back and forth a couple times. Bosch owns them right now, and but they've made the same tool. The only big difference in the 70s, I think it was, they changed from making it in America to China, unfortunately. And I hate buying anything foreign made. Although I bought some American-made crap too, so let me tell you, I just want some good tools. I don't mind paying for them if you make them well. I guess that's always a problem. You have to know who your people you're selling them to are. But I read review after review after review on the. I just don't spend, to me, $200 is a lot of money. I don't lightly go out and buy tools. I want to make sure I'm getting something that's decent. And I've been very happy with it. I think every penny of it. I wish I had done it earlier. Let me just show you guys at work. Now I gotta get back to work. Like I said, my time is getting tight here, so let me move the camera around to the other side, because there's no use you guys looking at my butt. Not a really pretty sight. Alright, let's see here. Now we'll set it up there, and we'll just move our little camera around here and here. I still cheat. You shouldn't have to. Guys don't. I've never seen anybody else cheat with this type of saw, but I still am cheating with it using my square. I still like doing that. Let's see if I got my sawhorse set right so I don't drop it off. Nope. Alright. And I'm just still using the same square. You don't have to, you can just push through, but like butter. I mean, just incredible. The only thing you gotta be careful of is when you get to the end of the cut, it does kind of want to tip a little bit. Not as bad as I thought it was going to, because people were complaining about that. They put the handle in a good spot. It's actually pretty easy to continue straight, but that is something you have to think about. Unlike most saws that cut 45 degrees, this one cuts all the way up to 53. So if you just have that couple little times where you might want to get a little extra over 45, you're trying to fit between something or something doesn't quite fit, if something's off, nice to have a couple little degrees extra. What I'm hoping, one thing that I like about this, it's narrower than my other saw considerably. When you want to get between two rafters and cut, or two studs and cut, a lot of times it's hard to get down in between. This should be able to do it. If you want to use the two handles, that's fine. Just if you do that, you kind of defeat the purpose of looking at the blade, because now my hand's in the way of looking down at the blade. Wonderful. Kind of nice because it's got markings not only at the front, but it's got markings also inside, just in front of the blade, so it's nice to watch it. It does have a fence hole if I ever get a fence, want to use it. I don't know if I ever will, but that is the toy. And like I said again, I love the rafter hook. I pull it out, put it down, you don't have to throw it on the ground. My other saw, I'll lay them down there. Alright, it's enough. Gotta get back to work. But I thought I'd show you guys my new toys, show you guys where I am, see where we're at with all this. Like I said, I'm in a bit of a panic mode now. I gotta get this going. Just running out of time. I'm gonna be in the middle of winter time trying to put a roof on this place yet. And like I said, the OSB is starting to show its age a little bit on the other side from being out in the weather for this long now. It was only supposed to be out here for a couple months, and we're pushing past 6 months now, and it's really starting to peel a little bit here and there in spots. I don't want to let it go any further. But hey, if that's the worst problem I have, I cut a piece off and redo it. That's all else can I do. Alright guys, I hope you're all well. I hope everybody's been doing well. I hope you had a nice summer. And we'll do a couple more videos here later just showing you guys where we're at. Alright, you guys take care of yourself. Thank you all. Bye-bye.